Hey everyone, it's Xant. So, our third standard week is upon us, meaning the banner suits will be available in the 4-star pick ticket pool after the week ends. We also get to see some new arena content, which I've added my impressions of to the end of this video. I'll be adding chapter timestamps if you want to skip my discussion and go right to it, that's up to you. Now, on to the content. Our first standard banner suit this week is the Musha God Maru from the SD Gundam franchise, and it's modeled after the God Gundam. Musha Victory's younger brother, he has a lawful alignment and ended up at odds against his sibling when he learned of the changes he made as the Dai Shogun, effectively turning his homeland into an evil aligned state. His entire adventure is training and obtaining power to oppose his brother, while being hunted by not only his forces, but also other Mushas under orders by the Dai Shogun. It's really weird talking about a mobile suit like I do a pilot, but they're alive in this series. Anyways, this machine also had an appearance in Build Fighters Try, for what that's worth. As for weapons, very straightforward. It has 2 katanas. Godmaru also has a green orb in its chest called the Ensui no Tama, which is proof of his training. Now what it does is beyond me, however he does have a super mode like the God Gundam, and while this state is active, he can use his finishing move, the Netsu Ka Bakuranzan. SD Gundams are interesting little creatures. Now our other suit this week might look mighty familiar, and it's because it's the upgraded version of the gold frame Amatsu we got back in February. Now funnily enough, back then I had mistaken the Amatsu for this Amatsu Mina, but seriously the only visual difference is the legs and the lower part of one of the arms, and you're not going to see that in the banner images. I couldn't tell until after the video had been uploaded, but at that point what was done was done. If you want to know about this suit and its history, I'll include the video in the description, with a timestamp as well, so you don't need to go hunting for it yourself. Our event suit this week is the Blue Destiny Unit 3, coming from Gundam Side Story and piloted by Yu Kajima. Originally meant as a source of spare parts for the other 2 units, this suit ended up seeing action after Unit 1 was lost against the Ifrit Custom, and it was used to chase down the stolen Unit 2 and destroy it. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on the suit, because it was made alongside Unit 2 and has the same design, history, and loadout, and since I've talked about it before, I would just be repeating myself. Let's move right along to our pilots, yeah? Starting off is Chronicle Asher, one of Victory Gundam's antagonists, ace pilot of the Zanskar Empire, and brother to the Empire's queen. There isn't a lot of information about his actual abilities as a pilot, but it is noted that he fought against Uso Yuen on a number of occasions, which makes sense, because antagonist and all. Unfortunately, he ended up losing to Uso during the final days of the Zanskar War, and fell to his death inside a mobile suit. Now, he does have a lot of different mobile suits piloted under his belt, so it is safe to assume he knows what he's doing, but unfortunately, I have not watched Victory Gundam, and there's not a lot of fleshed out information about him as a pilot. Now, our final gacha pilot this week is Laughter Franklin from IBO. A pilot for the Turbines, the transport division for Jupiter's mega conglomerate Teiwaz, she's actually quite skilled, being able to keep up with Tekadon's forces and even mentoring her future love interest Akihiro, and if you recall, Akihiro was Tekadon's second best pilot, beaten out only by Mikazuki. Not a bad resume. She saw combat pretty frequently, before we're even introduced to her, and if you've seen IBO, you know that it's kind of a dog-eat-dog world in the Mars sphere, and since she was a combat pilot for a transport division, you could imagine it was not smooth sailing. Unfortunately, her ending was kind of brutal, being gunned down on the orders of Jasly Denomicals, another member of Teiwaz. It was actually quite the emotional scene, and if you ever get around to watching IBO, keep your eye out for it. It's a damn shame that she died too, really. She was quite the looker. Okay, now normally I would do my outro and be done with it all. However, there's one little thing I still need to do, and that's look at the new arena suit and pilot. We'll do a normal discussion form first, and then move on to in-game. Look, I'm trying to pad for time waiting for the patch to go live, okay? We'll start with the Farzia from Gundam Age. Designed to be piloted by X-Rounders, it's actually been heavily simplified, so even a pilot with little to no training can effectively use it in combat. With this in mind, however, the suit is meant to be remotely controlled by another X-Rounder, and the suit's only known sortie shows that to great effect. Farzia effectively turns its pilot into an X-Rounder terminal to receive and follow out commands issued by its controller. Dastardly, but highly effective considering the suit is a high-speed, all-range attacker and can definitely put up a fight. As for weaponry, the Farzia comes with a Beam Vulcan / Saber set built into the wrists. They can fire Beam Vulcan shots or concentrate into a saber. 5 Farzia bits. 1 Diffuse Beam Cannon, this is actually in the torso, and 1 Farzia sword. The tail is actually detachable and can be used as a weapon. It's very straightforward and very pink. Now we'll discuss the pilot of the Farzia, Urine Le Ciel. Interesting last name there. An X-Rounder, she possesses spatial awareness and precognition, which if you couldn't math out, make an amazing combination for the Farzia. As a character, she had a good amount of development, with Flit Asuno becoming his primary love interest, but as a pilot, there was very little of her. The first and final sortie of the Farzia was also hers, as her Farzia was remotely controlled to combat Flit, and after a grueling fight, she wrested control back of her suit and died protecting him. So yeah, I'm not too sure what to say about her as a pilot, since we only see her being remotely controlled. And that's all the new content discussed. Now, I'll shift on over to the game and my live impressions of the Arena editions. Sorry I didn't do this part live. Though, let me know in the comments if you want me to change it up so that the new Arena editions will be done live, or if you want me to just continue doing it like this. I just want to know for next time. Alright, anyways guys, we'll change over now. Alright, so patch has just gone live. Let's look at the Farzia and Urine. So, starting off here, what do we got? With power attribute, projectile speed boosted by 14%. So projectile speed boost, personally, I don't think is a very useful skill whatsoever. The only time I think it really sees any qualitative use is when used with a physical bazooka, as that's really the only thing that needs it, as it fires at the ground to explode, so it's relatively easy to dodge. So projectile speed would heavily benefit that. Otherwise, yeah, it's not really. Anyways, force space and long range. Long range has become a very powerful word tag, as not only does it boost your shot attack, but also your shot defense by 5% now. So it does a double whammy, and feeding your change gear, as well as your base stats to begin with. As for stats, it's not really anything amazing, but it is an arena suit, very easy to obtain. I like the long range word tag. Everything else is just not really that appealing. Torso. The chest-mounted scattering beam cannon. Okay, so this is a magazine skill with D power. Now, if this was something that had B power, I'd be very happy with it, as it'd be a nice alternative to the X1 chest. However, it's not. With D power, even though it has a nice magazine, it's not going to be hitting very hard. You do reduce your enemy Gunpla's melee and shot defense by 14%. It's not really a big deal, really. Force space, long range again, which is nice. As for stats, nothing really amazing there. Okay. So, yeah. The shot attack, I guess, is a little higher than what you'd expect from a typical torso, but it's still just not that great, especially when you consider the rest of the suit in question. Arms. The Beam Vulcan, okay. If you remember, the Vulcan rebalance means that they now stagger when you fire enough shots, but it still has D power, so it's not going to do a lot of damage. And from what I can see here, this doesn't even have the benefit of reducing the enemy's stats or resistances. So, stat distribution-wise, obviously much lower melee than what you would expect from arms, and, well, shot attack is actually relatively high for a set of arms on a arena suit. Long range shows up again in the tags, force space is there as well. It's not a terrible suit so far, but it's not that great either. The Farzia sword. Raise your shot attack, raise your shot defense, B+ power. It's not a cutscene though. The one problem with physical non-cutscene skills is you lock yourself into an animation cycle, and during this you are vulnerable. So if the enemy sneaks an attack in, they hit you with a ranged or whatever, you're taking damage and there's nothing you can do about it, whether you want to avoid it or not. So it's really up to you. The benefits you get from this, even at EX10, are very low at 19% shot attack boost, where that is not, well, I guess it really depends on the part, but typically even a 4-star part in the ticket pool, when you have a buff like this, would go up to, what, 21% or so base? And it would push up to 30%, 35% higher when maxed, so... yeah, very meh. But, you know, it is an arena part, and it is more of an offensive skill than a buff, but yeah, not really doing it for me. It does have support type and force space support type. Even though it does give shot attack 5%, it's not that great. It's really difficult to find enough parts that are decent to activate this tag, and as of now, it doesn't have any good EX skill or trait that it needs for activation, so support type is pretty much off the table. Stat-wise, nothing to write home about either. Backpack. The Farzia bit. Okay, D power, so again, it's not really going to do much. It's a cutscene EX2, which I feel like is a real waste. Force space support type. Long and short, the entire Farzia is very mediocre at best. I would actually go as far as to say it's really only good for its long-range word tag. Outside of that, meh. However, though, do remember that long range has got a very powerful buff recently, so if you may be missing 1 or 2 of those tags to finish off your build, this may fit the bill. So, something to just consider. Now, Urine Luciel. With power attribute, long shot attack raised. As I've said before, long shot attack raised means, well, to my knowledge anyways, only neutral attack damage. It does not calculate EX skill damage, and it does not calculate anything else, really, just your neutrals. So, yeah, kind of a waste. She does have long-range support tab as her tags, however, meaning there is some viability in using her in a shot-style build, because long range, and she is a long shooter. However, stat distribution-wise, she is very lackluster. So just remember that and keep it in mind while you're looking at the pilot. Yeah, I would say pick these up, if anything, for the tags. Beyond that, though, I really wouldn't use them, at least personally. So, each to their own. Anyways, I'll do my normal outro here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Yeah, I'll see you in a few days for the normal impressions video. And remember, we should be expecting to see that Christmas banner probably a day or 2 before Christmas actually hits, if you remember what happened with the Wing Zero custom. I was expecting it to get announced today, but it is still quite a few days to Christmas, and they most likely want at least some people to roll on this banner. Also remember, changes have been made to the 4-star pick ticket pool, where standard suits that are shown will not be available until a month has passed. So, food for thought, keep that in mind. No longer will be able to just pick the suit the week after. You'll have to wait about a month. But the fact that you are able to just freely pick it has not changed. You just need a smidge more patience than before. Anyways, with that, I'll wrap up and head out. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace out, and see you in the next one.